How's it going, everybody? Maurice here from noblecopytips.com. So first we're going to be talking about researching setting online, and then we're going to be talking about how to research setting when you're actually physically there. And then at the very end, I'm going to give you some extra tips on what to bring so it's much easier for you when you go to research a setting. Let's go. Now, whenever a writer begins to bloom with a story idea, the eventual next step will be to choose and then research setting. This is commonly done by examining what the writer already knows because it is easy. If they live in a rural area all their lives, they will likely draw from memory, for example, of, like lakes and ponds and woodlands and mosquitoes and stuff like that. They might even throw in a few personal instances they had with that particular landscape to make it seem more believable. And that's totally fine. That's a good thing, actually. However, sometimes it might not be enough to satisfy the story the writer is trying to tell. Thankfully, a writer has the internet at their disposal. A writer should begin with the easiest online research first, Google Images. This will bring up hundreds, if not thousands, of different search results of visuals for the setting. If you chose to have an abandoned warehouse as the setting, you will find loads of dilapidated staircases and dirty floorboards and rotted walls. You can get great visual ideas to use for your setting just by using Google Images. Also, check out YouTube. There are numerous vlogs of backpackers and thrill seekers and abandoned mall junkies. The narrators often give you an insight into the five senses as they are on their journey. Use their information for your story. Keep a notepad or an open Word doc to jot down what they are experiencing. This is how you get the best setting research possible. Sure, it's nice to never leave your house and just do online research. You can get decent setting information that way, but it will never be as promising and detailed as the experiences you get from actually going to a setting. For the current novel I am writing now, I took a solo trip to the Everglades to study the setting. I booked a hotel for a few nights and did several local tours to experience the landscape and culture of the area. And I used my DSLR camera everywhere, taking hundreds of photos and videos. Now, equally as important was the audio recording I did with my smartphone. As I walked along the Everglades tour and drove along the streets of the nearby town, I voiced my opinion of what I saw. I noted everything from potholes in the narrow streets and pecking vultures to still brown lakes and rusty, dilapidated barns in the backyard. I have hours of notes that I use for my novel in progress. So how could you prepare to research settings for your novel? Well, I would say make damn sure that the chosen setting of your story won't ever change, because if it does and you already booked a trip, it might be difficult to get a refund. If there's a building or a hill or a grave site that might be intricate to your story, make sure you have it planned. You probably won't get a second chance to go on the trip again. Trips can get very expensive, so make sure you have an itinerary you will stick to diligently. Also, you should bring along the proper tools, right? A backpack. This is essential for any cameras or lenses or small tripods or audio accessories you will need. Food. Inside your backpack, you should keep a few bottles of water and a few energy bars for the long walks. It can get tiresome sightseeing for several hours. Batteries. The night before you go on your adventure, make sure all phone and camera batteries are charged to their max. Portable battery charger. They are relatively cheap and a great accessory to have with you in case a battery dies. Just make sure you have a USB cable with you. Audio. Any microphone attached to a camera is small enough but isn't really relevant unless you are taking videos with the camera. If you are exploring the innards of a house or a building, then an added microphone atop your camera should do nicely. A tripod. Except for mini tripods, I say forget them. Large tripods are very cumbersome to walk around with for hours at a time, and they are really only good for single photos or slow tracking videos. However, if you feel that is what your setting adventure calls for, then bring one. Clothes. Depending on where you're going, you may need cheap clothes to ruin and discard later. When I booked my Everglades trip, I knew I would be walking in knee-deep marsh, so I went out and bought cheap sneakers and pants from Walmart. If you plan on visiting the mountains during a cold season, make sure you bring layers of clothes for warmth. Well, there you go. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe and like. Take care.